Folks, I hope you're ready, because we're about to see an onslaught of the most vile and blatant bigotry since Trump's "they're eating the cats and dogs" thing.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Now that Zohran Mamdani won the Democratic nomination for mayor in New York City, the mask is completely coming off for some of these Republican lawmakers. Representative Andy Ogles here is leading the charge for the racists, holding his tiki torch high and proud, begging for Attorney General Pam Bondi to deport Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Little Muhammad Mamdani is an anti-Semitic, socialist communist who will destroy the great city of New York. He needs to be deported, which is why I am calling for him to be subject to denaturalization proceedings. Attached is my letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Now, if you guys don't know about Zohran's background, he came to New York City when he was 7 years old, and in 2018, he was naturalized as a citizen. The Honorable Pam Bondi. Okay, so we're going to start this letter off with a lie. Dear Attorney General Bondi, I write to request that the Department of Justice open an investigation into whether Zohran Mamdani, currently a candidate for the mayor of New York City, should be subject to denaturalization proceedings under 8 U.S.C. Section 1451A, on the grounds that he may have procured U.S. citizenship through willful misrepresentation or concealment of material support for terrorism. Now, these allegations stem from the fact that Mamdani, once a rapper, used these lyrics, "Free the Holy Land 5, my guys." The Holy Land Foundation was convicted in 2008 for providing material support to Hamas, a designated foreign terrorist group. Ogles here is arguing that publicly praising the foundation's convicted leadership as "my guys" raises serious concerns about whether Mr. Mamdani held affiliations or sympathies he failed to disclose during the naturalization process. While I understand that some may raise First Amendment concerns about taking legal action based on expressive conduct, such as rap lyrics, that would be against the First Amendment, speech alone does not preclude accountability when it reasonably suggests underlying conduct relevant to eligibility for naturalization. I don't think a rap lyric is reasonably suggestive of any kind of material support. If an individual publicly glorifies a group convicted of financing terrorism, it is entirely appropriate for federal authorities to inquire whether that individual engaged in non-public forms of support, such as organizational affiliation, fundraising, or advocacy that would have been required disclosure on Form N-400 or during a naturalization interview. The crazy part is there have been corporations like Chiquita, the banana brand, who have been convicted of supporting terrorists. This is like saying, I love Chiquita bananas, and now I'm being investigated for aiding and abetting Colombian terrorists. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The naturalization process depends on the good faith disclosure of any affiliation with or support for groups that threaten U.S. national security. If Mr. Mamdani concealed relevant associations, that concealment may constitute a material misrepresentation sufficient to support denaturalization under federal law. The federal government must uphold public trust by ensuring that citizenship is not granted under false pretenses. I respectfully urge the Department of Justice to determine whether Mr. Mamdani's conduct prior to naturalization warrants formal review under applicable law. Well, I can go ahead and tell you right now, Mr. Andy Ogles, that it does not. Now, this is an actual House representative who is saying this, but he's just parroting the same sentiment that's coming from a lot of Republicans, especially the MAGA ones who are starting to see deportation as a political tool to wield against their enemies. Here's a tweet from the New York Young Republicans Club, a call to action. The radical Zohran Mamdani cannot be allowed to destroy our beloved city of New York. The Communist Control Act lets President Trump revoke Zohran Mamdani's citizenship and promptly deport him. The time for action is now, at Stephen Miller and at Tom Homond. New York is counting on you. And these people are just crazy enough to actually do it. The Communist Control Act from like 1954, I think, has never really been used because it's pretty much unenforceable. And if it ever actually was used, it would probably be found unconstitutional. But these people will try anything. I mean, brush off any archaic law on the books in order to stop someone like Zohran Mamdani from gaining the seat he democratically was elected to. But I want to highlight who these people represent, who Andy Ogles is doing this for, and who the New York Young Republican Club is catering to. Because it's not a coincidence that the sentiment being shared by the representative and those political entities mirror the sentiment being shared by Wall Street and New York City's billionaires. I'm depressed and sad, said Rick Sandler, who runs the Midtown Manhattan hedge fund Eminence Capital, speaking with the Wall Street Journal. If Mamdani becomes mayor, I will likely move my business and family out of New York. I'm hearing that sentiment a lot from people saying that the billionaires and the rich are going to take their capital out of New York City. And I say to them, great. It's a win-win. More capital floods to gross red states, and blue states lower the housing for people who actually do things. I was a bit depressed when I woke up this morning, wrote Bill Ackman, the billionaire hedge fund manager and founder of Pershing Square Capital Management, and strong ally to President Donald Trump. I can't believe I even need to say this, but socialism doesn't work, said Anthony Pompliano, CEO of Bitcoin-focused financial services company, Professional Capital Management, speaking to the Wall Street Journal. It has failed in every American city it was tried. Now, I hate to be the one to break this to the Wall Street guys, but socialism has never been tried in any American city. And if and when Mamdani becomes mayor of New York City, he's not going to instill socialism. Reorganizing the socioeconomic structure of the United States isn't exactly something the mayor of even New York City can do. And on top of that, he's a democratic socialist, which exists within the boundaries of liberal democracy. We're not talking about Marxism here. We're not going to fundamentally change the ownership of the means of production or anything. Someone should tell these capital managers that they're still going to be able to manage their capital even if Mamdani is mayor. On the Democratic side, the official account for the House Homeland Security Committee responded to Ogles' request, saying this: racist drivel. Now is a good time to remind everyone Andy Ogles faked a $320,000 campaign loan, lied about being an economist, got fired from his law enforcement job for not showing up, and he wants to lecture anyone about upholding public trust? Sit down, fraud. Now, generally, the Democrats aren't known to cook like this, but I think they've gotten a new social media manager who's willing to take the gloves off every once in a while. Pam Bondi, for her part, doesn't seem to have responded yet, if she does at all. It's clear that this request is not serious, as the likelihood of Mamdani giving material support to a terrorist organization despite his rap lyrics is just very low. So who knows how far these Republicans are going to take this with Zohran. But we know that if he was anybody else, just like a general citizen who isn't famous, then this is what happens to you. Here's the headline from the Austin Chronicle. Texas man born to U.S. soldier on U.S. Army base deported. 10 years ago, Jermaine Thomas was at the center of a case brought before the U.S. Supreme Court. Should a baby born to a U.S. citizen father deployed to a U.S. Army base in Germany have U.S. citizenship? Last week, Thomas was escorted onto a plane with his wrists and ankles shackled, he says. He arrived in Jamaica, a country he'd never been to, a stateless man. Thomas has no citizenship according to court documents. He's not a citizen of Germany, where he was born in 1986, or of the United States, where his father served in the military for nearly 2 decades, or of his father's birth country of Jamaica, a place he'd never been to. He doesn't know how to get a job. He doesn't know if it's the Jamaican or U.S. government paying for his hotel room, and for how long that will last. He's not sure if it's even legal for him to be there. And this is what they want to do to Zohran Mamdani. I mean, it's absolutely insane, but it just might happen because they're getting more and more audacious. Folks, be safe out there, look after each other, and if you want to stay informed on the stuff that MAGA doesn't want you to know, well then subscribe to Really American. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.